Hello, everyone. I call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. And we will start with our land acknowledgement. Associated Students recognizes and acknowledges the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians that is now occupied by our campus of California State University Northridge. Honors their elders past and present and the descendants who are citizens of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. Associated Students recognizes that the tribe is still here and we are committed to uplifting their stories, culture, and community. Now moving on to roll call.
Vice President Emiliano Aragon,
Here.
Senator Abrams,
Here.
Senator Arias Gomez,
Here.
Senator Atias,
Here.
Senator Basilio,
Here.
Senator Cabrera Figueroa,
Here.
Senator Contreras,
Here.
Senator Cunanan,
Here.
Senator Dominguez, Senator Garcia,
Here.
Senator Gavino, Senator Kachidia,
Here.
Senator Kodka,
Here.
Senator Mane, Senator Quiroga,
Here.
Senator Ramirez,
Here.
Senator Umana,
Here.
Senator Vicente.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. We will now move over to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Senator Umana?
I move to approve the agenda for December 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Arias Gomez, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, if there are no objections, we will approve the agenda for December 1st unanimously. Okay, this passes unanimously. Thank you. We will now move over to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Umana?
I move to approve the minutes for November 17th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Quiroga, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, if there are no objections, we will approve the minutes for November 24 unanimously. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. We will now move over to special presentations. We will start with the bundled cohort scheduling project with Janet. Oh, you may now proceed to the podium.
Hello, good morning. I'm Janet O. I'm the Senior Director for Institutional Research, which means I manage data for the university. Would love to come back and talk to you about data one day. Today I'm here to talk to you about a project I'm working on behalf of the provost. I don't have much to present. I mostly am here for feedback, positive, negative, any concerns, questions, so that I can take it back to the provost for discussion. The main idea here is that we are working on a project in which we would like for first semester freshmen to be, I'm calling it bundled into cohorts together to take a set of classes together. So if any of you were in Freshman Connections for University 100 or what we currently refer to as Galaxies, you've experienced a version of this. The idea is that anywhere from probably 10 to 25 students would be taking their courses, most or all of their courses together. And the idea here is that it builds community. And at other universities where they've done this, it's created a sense of belonging, connectedness. It's an easy way to get to know people in your classes. A lot of positive benefits related to academic achievement, retention, graduation, all sorts of things. The other thing that's beneficial for students is that the way we schedule, we have to schedule from a student-centered perspective. So we look at it so that, students may have all their classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, or Tuesday, Thursday, or if you prefer all morning classes so that you don't have to come here 8 a.m. for a course and then come back at, 7 p.m. for an evening course. So the idea is that it affords a lot of benefits for students, and that it would allow us to have a view on the student schedule to help you to do that. We're working with advisors so that the courses that students are enrolled in are no different than the courses they would currently be advised into. We're just going to try to schedule them so that the students take them together. What else? And we would survey students beforehand, before they start to enroll so that we get a sense of what days of the week, what times of day are their preferences, as well as, if there's an elective in the schedule, what elective they would prefer. Or for example, if there's a writing course in their schedule, if they wanted to take that in ethnic studies or queer studies, the other offerings we have. And so I'm just here to share the idea with you. We were originally going to launch it in fall 26. We're thinking of pushing it back to fall 27 because we already have a lot of changes on the agenda for fall 26. But mostly here to hear your feedback. Positive feedback is great. Any concerns are important, questions, anything I can answer. I'm just here to take notes. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. My one question is, are there like any kind of incentives to joining a cohort? Like for example, I know EOP students tend to like usually take the same classes together as well. So I don't know if you would consider maybe like EOP a type of cohort as well, and if there's any types of benefits like EOP.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. EOP already does this with great benefits, as you've mentioned. It works out really well for their students. They would continue to do what they're doing. We wouldn't touch the EOP schedules, but we have some other cohorts built into CSUN, like Pathways to Excellence, for example, P2E. We have some other cohorts like Bridge to the Future, those sorts of cohorts. We would also work with them to schedule, but we also want to schedule around students' majors. The other idea that I forgot to mention is that you're bundled together with students, if not in your same major, at least similar majors. So you could start talking through, the career journey you might be on, similarities in your courses, how it's applicable to your future major courses, that sort of thing. So you would be bundled together that way.
For these cohorts, are these going to be completely voluntary sign-up cohorts, or are students going to be integrated into this process on enrollment?
Because we have to make sure we have enough seats for all the students based on their preferences in terms of schedules, major, math and writing placement category, all of those things, we would automatically assign. But students could always opt out. So the default would be that we would try to get as many students into these bundles as possible, but that if they preferred some other schedule or preferred not to do it that way, they could always opt out.
I know you mentioned this said this is for first-time freshmen. Would you also be considering this for maybe some transfer students as well, or no?
We're going to start with first semester freshmen because their courses don't have prerequisites. And then even going into the second semester for freshmen, we have to take into account if they need to retake a course, don't have the prerequisites. That's more so the case for first semester transfers. So once we get a handle on how to do this with first semester freshmen, I would love to do this with first semester transfers as well as second semester freshmen. Many places that do this for the whole first year for freshmen.
Apologies, I came in late.
Yeah.
So this would just be, oh yeah, permission to be recognized. Granted, thank you. So this would just be for the first year for students coming in, and then after that year, they'd be free to kind of select their own courses. They wouldn't be in the cohort anymore. Is that what I'm understanding?
We're actually currently planning just for the first semester. If we can get it to work out, which is logistically a lot, then we would like to do it for the full first year and then for transfers if possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a bit of comment. So not to guarantee that this is how all students will feel, because I know there's a variety of different sentiments. I know in my high school, though, many students worked on a similar track and didn't have as much flexibility in choosing their own schedules. And university tends to be one of those places where students find that freedom where they are able to adjust their schedules accordingly and work in actual work, other projects, extracurriculars into that schedule. I would say the only feedback I would have is if, as long as the opt-out is visible to students and accessible, there shouldn't be a problem, and I doubt many students will have any concerns with this.
So can I just repeat back what I'm hearing from you? Is that your concern is that some students might feel like they didn't get the freedom that they were expecting when they started university. And as long as we have the opt-out option, you think that would cover those students. But that you think the majority of students would still appreciate this sort of scheduling.
A little bit half on half.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with what the senator is saying. I would also add that I think there is a value, which I don't think you guys are underestimating by any means, but there's a value to the diversity that CSUN brings, not just cultural and ethnic diversity, but diversity among, different fields of study, different majors. And I think being able to take classes with people who are in other majors, being able to learn outside of kind of your own bubble is an important part, I think, of the freshman experience. Not to say that a cohort program wouldn't work and wouldn't be beneficial to like those career journeys that you said, but I think a blending of it, or at least having maybe a University 100 class where you have students that are not just of the cohort, but are of different experiences would be helpful, I think. So
It's a really important point. Thank you. Was there a comment over here? Yes.
I know you just mentioned that it would mostly be like predetermined groups, but if you were to like establish a system that would end up working like in the future, is there a possibility that you would allow students that would feel more comfortable to work with certain other students to work together, or would that not be a possibility?
I mean, in practice, you could actually choose. So we would have the bundles preset. And based on, let's say if you told us, oh, I prefer all morning classes, we would say, oh, we recommend this bundle to you. But based on your preferences, there would ideally be multiple bundles available to you. So if someone else, a peer of yours also wanted to be in the same bundle with you, they could opt into that same bundle. That's the idea. In practice, depending on when your advising appointment is and everything else, it may not be practical, but the idea is that.
And then for the bundles, in a situation where a student finds an ideal bundle of 3 classes or 4 classes, but they're unable to attend or keep up with the 4th class, will there be smaller bundles of less classes, or would students be able to opt out of a singular course in the bundle?
Lots of great questions today. Were any of you participants in Galaxies? Do you know if you were in a Galaxy cohort or U100, the freshman connections? Currently, the way that Galaxies, which is the current version of the cohorted scheduling works, is it's usually 2 or 3 classes the students take together. The reason why we're aiming for 4 classes actually is because what happens is exactly what you're saying. So I'm in a cohort of 3 classes with my cohort, and then something happens, I need to drop out or switch out my 3rd class. And so then I only end up in 2 classes, or if I'm in a 2-class cohort, not even 2 classes, right? So it's not really a cohort anymore. And so, like I said, I run the data office for the university. So we did an evaluation of the current Galaxies program, and we find that the benefits are not really seen unless you have the 3 classes together. So we're hoping that by putting students in 4 classes together, if anything happens, and they need to drop or change one of their classes, they would still get at least the 3 classes together and still have those benefits. So that's why we're doing it this way. So exactly what you're saying, there would be that flexibility, especially if later on something happened and they needed to drop a class. But the goal is to get them into 4 classes together.
Hi. So my question, well, I agree. I think that that system could work. As a medical technology major, sometimes the later on we go into our classes, the more you keep seeing the same people. So it's like you're familiar with them, you have study groups with them. My question would be whether you have considered already those classes that may have labs together that are co-requisite that maybe may be a little bit difficult for all students to enroll in that same section, or possibly like having others to opt out of that class that requires that lab.
Yes, you're pointing to one of the logistical issues we're dealing with, which is if you do have a lecture that's attached to a lab, or in the case of math or writing, you might have a supplemental instruction SI section. We have to treat it as a bundle of courses together. And so what we're running into is the logistics of that scheduling, which is why we're doing this so far in advance, so that if we find that the lab section, is at a time that, conflicts with another class we're trying to schedule into the bundle, that we could go to the department and ask them, is there any way you could move the lab sections? I've talked to math. Math has a lot of labs, a lot of SIs for freshmen, and they actually are quite excited about this idea because for them, I don't know if any of you had this issue, but you might have to take your lecture lab SI on different days, or they said that some students have to take the lab on a Friday. It's their only class on a Friday. They have to come to campus just for that one lab. They prefer not to do it that way either. There's actually an ideal sort of sequence of scheduling they would prefer. And if we can come in from that student-centered perspective and tell them, okay, so we could do it this way if you offer it starting at this time of day, and we can guarantee you the classrooms, because I would work with the classroom reservations folks, then that would work out. And so, yes, that is one of the logistics we're dealing with, and we would have to keep that in mind because we know that some courses do require the lab. So we would treat it as a set of courses.
I just wanted to clarify, why can't spring semester freshmen join the cohort if they're also freshmen?
If that's their first semester,
No, they come in spring semester instead of fall. Why can't they join?
if it's their first semester,
Yeah.
yes. We don't get a lot of first semester freshmen in the spring. It's quite rare, so it'd be hard to develop a full cohort for any even group of majors. Like I said, ideally, we would include second semester, which would include the spring first-time freshmen, if we could, once we figure out the prerequisite issue, because we have to coordinate all of that. If we had more first semester freshmen come in the spring, we would definitely consider it for them. We just don't get very many right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I was a transfer student, so I'm not
Yeah.
fully aware of all the freshman classes. But if there are any impacted freshman classes or entry level general classes, how has the program looked at how to account for that?
Can you say more about what you mean by impacted?
Yeah, so I've seen it in other universities and colleges. I have not seen it as much at this level here, but there are certain classes that usually become filled out extremely early or do not have enough open class availabilities for all students to take it, while it is still a general requirement for most students at the time. One of the most notable ones are usually chemistry, and the most heavily impacted along that chain in more advanced years is organic chemistry, where it's usually extremely competitive. There's only one or two classes usually, and it's a wide number of students trying to filter into these classes. In case there are any electives that might be smaller or might be impacted by this program, have you looked into coordinating with any of these faculty members?
Yes. So number one, we are working with the registrar's office. So like I said, Galaxies already exists, the freshman connections already exist. So especially for those, what they do, I'm calling it bundled because they create a bundle of courses. And if you've ever had to use a permission number to get into a course, there would be a permission number that would open up all those courses for you. The way we do that is we work with the registrar's office to hold seats in those courses for this program in particular. So we would try to project how many students we need in each of those courses, and then the registrar's office would hold those seats for us. That's one especially for the courses that are not just serving first year freshmen. We want to make sure there's enough seats for these students. Number two, this is why we're doing it so early in advance. If in advance we're projecting a certain number of freshmen needing certain courses, and we find, like you're saying, that we just don't offer enough sections of those courses. This has happened in the past. This provost is very particular about making sure We offer enough courses for our first semester freshmen, but before she came on board, for example, we would run out of seats in first semester writing that nearly all freshmen need to take. And so we're doing better about that, but this would also allow us to work with those departments, not just writing, but any courses like that, to say, hey, you're not offering enough sections of this course for the freshmen we're projecting. Can you offer one more section? And we will guarantee that it'll fill because of these cohorts. So that's another reason why we're working so far in advance. Yes.
In terms of advisement, what would that look like for these freshmen?
Advising the experience shouldn't change all that much. We're hoping it goes more smoothly because now instead of going course by course to choose your courses, you would choose a set of courses. So you would still get some choice. The advisors have spoken to us and said that they would prefer to explain, for example, the differences among the different writing options, right? We have ethnic studies, we have queer studies, we have different writing options. Students may not understand that even if we put it in a survey. And so they wanted to be able to explain that to students and then offer them the options of the bundles. So in terms of the experience for students, we don't imagine it'll be that different. We're just hoping it goes a little bit more smoothly so that it's not course by course.
And then you mentioned that these cohorts are ideally 10 to 25 students. In an instance where you have 2 or 3 smaller cohorts, will these cohorts be in the same classroom if the classes overlap, or will every cohort be in separate classes at all times?
I feel like maybe you want to come work with us to help with scheduling because you are capturing some of the nuances that I didn't figure out until we were already in the numbers. So for example, the reason I had imagined that the cohorts would all, one section of U100, the same class size, right? And so we have to manage around the class sizes, as well as some of the smaller majors. Even if we group them with other small majors, we may not get to that 25. And so there's lots of logistical reasons why we're saying it could be anywhere from 10 to 25. So let's say we have a cohort of 10, then there may be 2 cohorts of 10 in the same classes with some overlap. So one cohort of 10 may take the same writing, the 2 cohorts in the same writing course, but they may break off for different electives, for example. So there may be some overlap, depends on the size of the cohort and the size of the major, all sorts of things. I'm serious if you're interested. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to work with you if you're interested in helping us figure out these problems.
If you're reserving seats, if you don't get those numbers, is there going to be a time that you release those reserved spots?
Yes, we would release them just like we do currently. That's a good point. Thank you.
In terms of the selection process, would this be through some sort of meeting, or would they do it through a site or an app or something like that? What would that look like?
It would be in those advising meetings like we discussed, just like the students currently do. Those courses are currently chosen in the advising meetings. Same thing here.
Similar to what Marcella said, I'm also a transfer student, so I don't really know how the freshman experience goes. But would these freshmen who are in these cohorts get like priority registration for these bundles, or how would they register for these classes? Would they register like normal, or would it be like they just like choose that bundle, then you guys would register for them in those courses for that bundle?
Yeah, so it wouldn't be priority registration. They would still register at the same time as usual. It's just that instead of registering for individual courses, they're registering for the whole bundle of courses. So we're reserving seats in those bundles. Just like right now, most first semester freshmen take a certain set of courses that are reserved for freshmen. And so similarly, we would reserve those seats like we currently do.
Are there any further comments or questions?
Can I ask, did any of you participate if you came in as freshmen in the Galaxies cohorts or the U100 cohorts, freshman connections? Okay, all right.
Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you so much. We really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move over to our second special presentation, the Associated Students Audit Report with our Executive Director, Vicki Allen.
Good morning. Hope that you had a restful, productive, but also fun Thanksgiving break. So I'll go ahead by beginning that on November the 18th, the Board of Trustees Committee on Audit actually met and presented a number of the audits that they had conducted over the course of this last year. And so before I go into our audit report, I want to acknowledge some of the staff within the Associated Students who did extensive work in order to gather the material and prepare for the auditors. So I'm going to start with the accounting department. Lionel Lawrence, Terry Yagata, Danny Soto, Melanie Anderson, and Jenny Dawn. In addition to that, I want to acknowledge staff within our HR department, John Dobler, Cindy Sinha, Yvonne Morial, and Forum Mahata. Okay, I might have gotten a couple of those incorrect. I have some other people I want to acknowledge at the conclusion of the report. So this was included in your packet. My hope is that you had an opportunity to read the report. Just so that you know, auxiliary organizations are audited. Sometimes when the audits are selected, they always try to identify larger campuses, such as Cal State Northridge. And sometimes the auditors will come and they'll look at multiple auxiliaries at the same time. The last time that they were here doing a multi-audit for auxiliaries on campus, it included the Student Union, the University Corporation, and the Associated Students, and this was back in 2017. So this particular audit report, what you're going to find is that there are a number of findings. And actually, as we go through the report, you're going to see that for some of the findings, we have already started to work on addressing some of the internal issues that were identified. The green button, right? Okay. So the very first thing that you'll look at is on bank reconciliations. So currently, the Associated Students has 4 bank accounts. That is going to be concluded by today. But one of the things that they wanted to do is have us consolidate down to 1 bank account, that being Wells Fargo. Also, they were looking for us to improve timely preparation and reconciliation of our bank statements and resolve outstanding checks. So there are still some employees as well as lots of reimbursement checks and stuff that we issue, and sometimes people just don't cash them. And so they want to ensure that we are resolving any outstanding checks that have not cleared our bank within the 60-day window. And then they also want us to implement an enchestment procedure, and that's actually on your agenda today as an action item. The next issue that they wanted to do, wanted us to address, dealt with our credit card program. And so here, they wanted us to update an AS credit card policy. They wanted to make sure that we have spending limits. Now, within our credit cards, we do have spending caps depending upon the particular role that you have within the organization, but we don't necessarily have this articulated in a policy. So they wanted to ensure that we had caps as well as monthly spending limits and also do some improvement on our reconciliation. And then they also wanted to ensure that we had an independent reviewer for the executive director's card. So prior to this year, the approver of the card was the controller. As the executive director, I supervise the controller, and so they were concerned about that being problematic. And so now all of my credit card statements are actually reviewed by our AS president as well as the vice president for student affairs. You'll remember that earlier this semester, we actually presented to you an updated conflict of interest statement. So you as board members have signed a conflict of interest statement, but it was really a statement acknowledging what conflict of interest is, but it didn't allow you to disclose various conflict of interest that you may have. In addition to that, management had never signed a conflict of interest statement. And so the conflict of interest statement document that you approved earlier this semester, it enhanced the previous statement It also required that you disclosed. It also included information that management or anyone that has any type of financial decision would also have to complete that conflict of interest statement. This has to be done annually by management staff, and so that will be done at the beginning of every fiscal year. But as new board members start, are elected, and are installed, they will also sign a conflict of interest statement. The next thing that they wanted us to address was travel. We had a travel policy, but we just needed to revise it. So this is looking at various things from pre-authorization to reconciliation of expenditures, and as well as ensuring that we had specific guidance for student organization travel. So all of you know that we currently fund student organizations to travel through our STAR, as well as through our club and organization travel account, but we did not have a specific policy statement or provided any form of guidance for students utilizing funds that we allocated to them to travel. In addition to that, we had information about procurement and disbursement. And so they wanted us to look at the cycle of actually making purchases, as well as strengthening some of our requirements for purchases, and then also creating what we call a delegation of authority. So this was also a document that you recently approved at the board level. And then they wanted us to clarify some of our memorandums of understanding in terms of how they're done. Some of them aren't done on an annual basis, but this is something that we'll be implementing. It is one of the policy statements that we're working on. So one of the big things that you're going to see on your agenda come the spring semester is looking at our governing documents. So as the Associated Students, you're a 501c3 organization. And when you were founded, long time ago, you weren't a 501c3. And so the structure of the Senate was traditional to other student governments across the country. And now that you're incorporated, we not only have to adhere to CSU policy, campus-based policy, but we also have to adhere to what's called the California Corporations Code. And so there's things that our current Constitution does not currently address that we will need to address in order to be in compliance with our 501c3 status. And so you will start to see some information about that when we come back in the spring semester. In addition to that, we had to update our operating agreement. So, but for Cal State Northridge, the Associated Students Incorporated here would not exist. And so as such, we have a responsibility to do a operating agreement. And generally, once that's done, it's generally for 10 years, but in the 5th year, there's an opportunity to review. So one of the findings identified the fact that we did not have a proper review with the university in that 5-year window, as well as there were areas within the operating agreement that were not included. For example, we have a children's center, and we currently get 2 grants. We get one from the California Department of Education. That is our toddler grant, and we get one also from the California Department of Social Services, and that's for our preschool grant. And so with both of those things, currently grants are facilitated through the University Corporation. We did not have that within our operating agreement, so that was one thing that we needed to update. In addition to that, making sure that we submit changes for that operating agreement to the Chancellor's office. Moving on, as you know, we provide banking services to our registered student organizations. And so there were some things that we needed to really strengthen. One of those things was ensuring that signatures for agency accounts. So every single fiscal year, which begins on July 1, student organization presidents, treasurers, and their university advisors have to sign an agency organization signature form. There were some that were not done during the period of the audit, and so that was one of the findings. We also need to provide some training as it relates to restrictions on off-campus bank accounts. So RSOs are not permitted to have off-campus bank accounts. If they are requesting one, it's because they're a national organization and their national organization requires that. This is something that they do as a part of their university recognition process, but there were some areas where there were gaps where that was not being done and individuals were having accounts off campus, and then also working with the campus to ensure that those organizations that do not have authorization to have an off-campus bank account actually have those accounts closed. So within some of our operations, the ticket office is one, as well as in our sport club program and outdoor adventures primarily, we actually have cash today still for some transactions. And so we needed to update and improve our cash handling procedures. There's a variety of different types of forms that we would want to have when you have cash on hand. And so it's updating those procedures, but also ensuring that all staff that's handling or dealing with cash have ongoing refresher training as a part of this audit finding. The next thing is user access. And so in today's world, everyone has technology, right? You have all technology in front of you right now. And so when you start as an employee of the Associated Students, you get access to various platforms that we have. And so what we need to do is make sure that we are reviewing who has rights, ensuring that people, when they leave the organization, that their rights are removed, so on and so forth. So with our accounts receivable department, we also needed to just provide some refresher training for collections. So sometimes people owe us and they don't pay us. And so we need to make sure that we have some good things in place so that we can follow up with those individuals to ensure that we're properly compensated for our areas in which they owe. And then the last thing we have is supplier administration. So this is dealing with file maintenance and some segregation of duties in terms of when you're working with information, it's sometimes important to have one person do it and another person come back and check what they've done, but it's not the same person doing it from step A to like step Z. So that is a summary of the audit report that was just concluded. And so, like I said, again, I hope that you had an opportunity to read the full report. And so before I do some additional thank yous, are there questions that you may have? Go right ahead.
You mentioned clubs shouldn't have like off-campus bank accounts, but is there ever like the possibility for like AS to provide like a card they can use to pay online since sometimes they don't have like money to pay first and then do the reimbursement process?
You know, that's a question that's been asked ever since the organization of student funds and that policy came into effect, right? Because today, as young people, you don't carry cash, you've never written a check. And so the reality is that you tap, right? And so I know that many of the executive directors, we've been talking about this for quite some time. How can we address this issue? And we have not necessarily found a solution for that at this particular point in time, but it has been a hot topic. Gosh, I want to say since 2015, if not earlier than that, in terms of trying to address that issue for RSOs. So currently what a lot of clubs have to do, unfortunately, is they have to front that money and then they have to come back, especially if it's money that we've allocated to them. We're not going to, that's not placed in their account. They actually have to do that through either a contract or through a check that's been issued to the vendor or through reimbursement. But that's also the case with their agency funds. You're correct. Other questions? I expected more. Okay, so if there are no additional questions, there's some additional folks that I would like to acknowledge. I also would like to acknowledge Calvin and Pat in our IT department, as well as Tim Sapansky, Kevin Maserati, Lena Blinkany, and Hannah Morato, all of which had responsibilities connected to the audit. And then I also would like to thank our university partners, our current person in charge of internal audits, Sunwook Kim, as well as Howard Ludwig, who's retired from the university, but it came back to support us through this process. I would like to also thank Colin Donahue, Edith Winterhauser, Annie Dang, Barbara Raymond, and also Dr. William Watkins. So thank you all very much for your attention.
Okay, if there are no questions, we will now move over to open forum. Open forum is intended as an opportunity for any member of the public to address the Associated Student Senate regarding any issues affecting CSUN students. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes each to speak. Please sign in using the clipboard for minute recording purposes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Jimenez Salgado from the CSUN Athletics Department. So I think I have a schedule that I sent out to Denise. I think it's our women's basketball or men's basketball schedule first. If you don't have it, that's fine. I can talk about it. But just want to give some updates about athletics from my department. So currently, our men's basketball team is going to be opening conference play this Thursday against Cal State Bakersfield. And our women's basketball team's also going to be opening up conference play on Saturday. So would love to see you all there. As a grad student, I know I'm studying really hard for finals right now, so totally understand everyone's trying to study as well during this time. And then after finals or during winter break, we also have a bunch of games in between from end of this or mid-December all the way to end of January. And then once spring semester starts, we'll have games as well there. So if any of you are here during winter break, we'll love to see you out there. We have plenty of games. And just a reminder, you are all free. So tell your friends if you want some free entertainment and some school camaraderie, come down and go watch some of your teams play. And then also just want to give a shout out to our women's volleyball team. They had their best winning record since 2014. That was when I was a grad or bachelor's degree student here. And then they opened up the season 3-0, first time since 2014 as well. Beat Hawaii since 2014. So if you don't know, Hawaii is really about volleyball, and that's like one of their biggest sports out there. So it was a huge win for us to get a win against them. And then lastly, we had two all Big West honorees with Leah Miller and Haley Ogden. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your support throughout the whole year. And then we'll be coming back as the year goes throughout. So thank you.
Good morning, y'all. Are we still awake? All right. So for those of you who might not know me, my name is Dr. Freddy Sanchez. I serve as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs. I've been here multiple times, and so I hope you know who I am. All right. I'm here for a later agenda item that you all have, and I wanted to share my support for that endorsement. As you all will be briefed later, the Black House submitted a request for supplemental funding on behalf of the university with support of Black Student Union, which is one of our student organizations on campus, to host the African Black Coalition Conference on campus in January. The African Black Coalition Conference is one of the most impactful statewide gatherings for Black Student Union's leaders across the CSU and the UC system. Hosting more than 600 students on this campus will not only be an honor, but a powerful opportunity for CSUN to reaffirm its commitment to student success and belonging. Our own CSUN Black Student Union has stepped into a major leadership role as a campus lead for this conference. In partnership and consultation with the Black House leadership team, the BSU is coordinating logistics, managing committees, collaborating with university partners, and engaging with the statewide organizers. Through this work, our students are gaining high-impact experiences in event planning, communication, problem solving, and leadership development, all of which are skills that will support them after their time at CSUN. Sponsoring this conference directly aligns with our Black Student Success Initiative. For those of you who might not be aware, the campus in 2022 started working with an outside consultant in understanding what our Black student experience was on this campus. A report was published last year, and one of the high impact staples that they shared is that we wanted to build our student leadership component on the campus. And so through this partnership, we hope that really lends itself to that support of our students. It will also support directly 50 CSUN students who will be participating during the conference as volunteers, serving as mentors, community organizers, and attending the conference and their own leadership development throughout the year. CSUN has a long-standing legacy of student leadership and a strong reputation for elevating student voices. Hosting the African Black Coalition Conference continues that legacy and demonstrates through action that we support our students not only in words, but in meaningful opportunities that celebrate their excellence and contributions to our campus. For these reasons, I strongly encourage your support in later's agenda item that the Black House wholeheartedly submitted because we're supporting our students in that way. Next up are our students and the the senior coordinator of the Black House, they'll share some additional words. But ultimately, if you have questions, just share them out. We really are here to support our students, their advocacy, their engagement. We haven't hosted this conference at CSUN, and I think it's really allowing us to step up. CSUN is a home and a destination for a lot of folks, and so I think doing this conference will benefit them and benefit our campus tremendously. Thanks, y'all.
Oh, is a button? Oh, sweet. Okay. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? My name is Marcel Pillard. I am a currently graduating senior. I'll be done in the spring in May. I study entertainment media management, and I'm also the campus chair for the African Black Coalition, like Dr. Sanchez was mentioning. And basically, with the African Black Coalition, he gave y'all a brief description, but you know, being the chairman of the conference it's been a humbling experience. I've been forced to adapt my scheduling habits because being a student here at CSUN, I'm here tackling all kinds of different programs on campus, trying to stay involved while also trying to maintain my grades and trying to maintain my career. But I wasn't able to go to conference last year, but I saw all the pictures and videos and wish that I was there every single day. I saw the many Black students and other students being involved, getting to know these facilitators hosting these workshops, getting to know other students that are involved in their own majors or in different majors to connect and network with one another. I thought that was extremely impactful, and I just had to be there, so that's why I've gotten involved. And I want to talk about what's going on at these conferences. We got workshops that I mentioned, facilitators that are giving students opportunities to not only dive deeper into their careers, but find new pathways and new hobbies and different habits that they would be able to use for not only their time remaining in university and college, but for the remainder of their lives to build good men and women to be impactful members of society. So thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Hi guys. Um, Good morning. My name is Jasmine. I'm currently I'm currently a sophomore here majoring in kinesiology, and I serve as the co-entertainment chair for the ABC committee, and I'm here to ask AS to support the BSU and conference committee by co-sponsoring our event. The conference is an annual gathering that brings together over 600 Black students, leaders, and professionals from across the state to learn, connect, and get inspired. Attendees have the opportunity to build community, engage in meaningful conversations, and prepare for a workforce and experience culturally relevant leadership development programming. So this is my first year attending the conference, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard many students speaking highly of it, how it's connected them to other student leaders, and how it's helped shape their leadership skills and expose them to internships and community leaders and just so many more opportunities. So just being a part of this committee has already helped me grow so much, and it's pushing me out of my comfort zone and teaching me how to communicate better, which gives me like a real sense of purpose on campus. And it's teaching me, attending the conference would let me build on that growth. So hearing from powerful speakers, connecting with other students, and just bringing ideas back to our community. This isn't just another event for me. It's something I care about, something I enjoy, and something that motivates me to show up as my best self as a student leader. And I'm honored to not only be a part of this space, but to also help create for all students, both here at CSUN and across the state of California. And I hope that AS will support us in creating the best experience for all the attendees. Thank you for your time.
I almost said good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good morning, all of that. Good day. Thank you. My name is Dr. Mason. I'm forgot my title. Senior Coordinator for the Black House Black Resource Center on campus. Thank you for entertaining our request. I wanted to start off by just praising the students that have spoke, and I think you have one more student who's gonna mention some words. But the conference, I did want to just highlight that the conference wasn't something that I initially thought that we were going to take on. This conference was not something that the Black House woke up and said we should do a conference with 700 students across the CSU, UC, and community college. That was not my endeavor, but actually it was the BSU and a group of students who stumped into my office and said, hey, look, let's do this. And then they started to put the work together, the pieces together, and then reach out to all of the different entities, and then developed a proposal in which we met with several campus constituents to actually, they met with several campus constituents to say, okay, well, look, this is what we want to do, and this is how we can actually get it done. So by all means, this is something that they've put together, and then I am just the cheerleader in the background. But like mentioned, the workshops and the things that this conference provides to the students, this diverse group of students across the CSU, UC, private institutions, et cetera, it's transformational. There is even a diverse pool of students there. The students that just attend the conference are not all Black students, but they are all united in the sense of they want students to be successful. They want students to develop leadership skills, and this conference provides that. In the last couple of years, we've tried to bring a group of students, and we've only been able to bring roughly about 13 students in the past 2 years, excuse me, in which I've been able to chaperone, I guess that's the word. And we've had to do a lot to get the funds to this. And this way, we get to really focus not only 13 students, but 50 students to this conference. In the past 2 years, where we've had 13 students, more than 70% of the students who've attended each year have engaged in some type of leadership, whether that be through joining our fraternity and sorority life, whether that be taking on leadership in clubs and orgs, whether that be just getting more involved, working in some of the spaces across campus and other high impact practices. So we see that the conference has a result. We see that this conference will also be a great place that the campus will be able to show off our Matador spirit. We have engaged in conversations on how different entities across campus can be there to engage transfer population, because the transfer population comes in pretty robust. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of the different areas, as I've done, to kind of highlight how impactful the conference can truly be. And it's a proven concept. From the past years, this conference has gone on for roughly about 20 years. The executive director of the conference is an alumni. I'm an alumni. There's several people spread it throughout who are CSU alumni, and we're just looking forward to your support to make sure that we can bring this home and brag, as my office knows that I do, brag about the CSUN spirit and the impact that our campus can provide. All right, thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Hermione Douglas, and I am the Black Student Union president. And I'm so excited for this African Black Coalition Conference. I have to say, last year that I went, it was so empowering. The leadership development that I got, it was amazing. I will say that for this conference, I would have never minored in political science. I would have never thought to actually double minor and actually go after something that I didn't think I was capable of. And I will say I would have never been in student government. I would have never been here in this room knowing each and every one of you guys that I have a close relationship with, and being able to develop myself even more and go out my comfort zone. And then also, just another tip, I feel like I would have never been able to also represent the Black population here on campus in student government, because it's not a lot of Black students in student government at all anyway. So I think that making sure that we are able to uplift Black students on campus is very important, and making sure we're able to facilitate them in leadership development as well, and making sure that AS is a co-signer on that and saying, hey, we do want to help you guys, we do want to uplift you guys. So that's my little tidbit. I know I've talked about it so much, so yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for, oh,
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lillian Gedikian. I'm a freshman majoring in business management, and I'm here today because I'm hoping to be a part of the elections committee. I just wanted to say that I'm very glad to be here to introduce myself and thank you guys for listening. So I wanted to give some background on myself, but since I am a freshman, these experiences that I'm talking about are from high school. So something about me is that I'm Armenian. So I was an active member of my local church and its Armenian Church Youth Organization chapter for 4 years. And I served as secretary and vice chair. And currently I'm a TA for Sunday school. In high school, I was class representative and I also competed in Model UN for 2 years. I was awarded in one of these competitions and I was also involved in creating the first Model UN competition for Armenian schools, and I served as co-chair of a committee in this competition. Along with this, I was in the varsity tennis team for 4 years, and then my last year I became the team manager, and I basically just helped lead the team, and I also created and managed the team's social media account. So on campus, I recently joined the Armenian Students Association and also the Hidden Road Initiative clubs. And I'm very excited to have the opportunity to potentially join the elections committee. And I believe with these experiences that I talked about, I could be an effective member. So I wanted to apply for elections in particular because I believe elections can be very powerful in uniting the campus and also raising the school spirit. And that's something that I want to be a part of. While a member, I think it's important to implement different advertising methods for the elections and also the different positions that Associate Students has to offer. And this can just be through like social media and emailing and even like setting up informational booths when election season is near. So during my time, I'll look forward to raising the student engagement, but something I also think I'll really look forward to is just meeting new people. My whole life, I grew up in an Armenian school, which I'm very thankful for because I've been able to connect with my culture. But now that I'm in college, I'm excited to be around different people with different perspectives and also to learn from them and their experiences. So thank you, and I'm happy to meet everyone and hopefully join the committee.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alana Grosby. I am the AS Sport Club's president, and I just wanted to give you guys some updates about what our sport clubs have been up to for the past couple of months. So our swim club attended the UCSD Fall Invite, and 17 CSUN swim club records were broken. And our men's team placed fourth, and they have their first ever collegiate club swimming national qualifier swimmer. Our CSUN Ice Hockey Club won their game against USC and UCSB on October 25th, and they won their game against UCLA on October 11th. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has an athlete that won a national championship and a tournament champion. Ice hockey is also on a hot streak, and the women's volleyball club just got second place in the silver bracket at their SCSU preseason tournament. That's all. Thank you.
And then following up on Alana, I'm here to kind of speak on the tiny mobile robot that we're looking to get for sport clubs. I know the price tag is big. It's $27,000. We can be honest, that's a lot of money. But I'm kind of here to shed light on what it will do. So currently when we line our fields for a few major sports. So men's and women's rugby and women's lacrosse are the main clubs that line their fields. And to do so, we have to pay a building manager because of all of our practices are closed. So that means when we reserve the space, we have to make sure one of our building managers are there. So we pay them at the hourly rate that they are prescribed, which is $18.37. Field lighting typically takes 5 hours. So the BMs have to be out there sitting there for 5 hours, and they don't really do much. They aren't the ones actually painting the field. It's our clubs that paint the fields. So to paint the fields, it typically takes 4 to 5 club members to go out there. Use a string. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but they have to use a string. They have a spray paint can that goes into this lining machine, and then they have to walk all the lines, which is why it takes so long. Some clubs for women's lacrosse that have some rounded lines, it actually takes them longer. It can take them up to 8 hours. So they do 5 hours the day before a game, and they do 3 hours the day of the game. All to say, it just takes away from what they should be doing, getting ready for the game, and they're out there kind of making sure the field looks presentable. And no shade to our clubs, but the lines also aren't great because there's students out there doing them. So they miss a lot of lines. They don't have enough time to make it perfect. And so when we're playing in collegiate sports, and I know it's not NCAA, but our sport clubs are pretty competitive, it's important that we kind of provide a professional look, especially to other campuses that want to come here to play us. So men's and women's rugby and women's lacrosse all have leagues. So they have prescribed games that they have to host on campus. And ideally, we want to be able to host more. And getting this machine will help us host more. I know this was put in the attachments. I think it's attachment 3 in the agenda if it was sent out. But the payoff time for the robot is 14 years because we'll be saving about $2,000 annually on just cost to staff these field lining shifts. And for the first 4 years, we don't have to pay for any paint. So that saves our club some money as well. We get basically a 4-year supply of paint for us to line anything. And then that's just at base cost. So typically we host about 15 games, roughly 10 women's rugby, men's rugby games, and then 5 women's lacrosse games. So having this kind of in our repertoire will allow us to host even more. So we can host soccer games because the robot, it's a robot that goes out to line the field, and it takes considerably less time. So women's rugby specifically takes about 5 hours to line their fields, and the robot gets it done in 45 minutes of a professional standard that wouldn't be done with our students. So it's saving us time, and it just elevates our professional look. It will allow our clubs to kind of host more tournaments because we can line more fields and make them better. And it will allow soccers to both host games at the same time. So I know all of that's word vomit. I know that $27,000 is a lot, but it's another important note that it's not coming out of supplemental funding. It's coming out of our capital improvements budget. So it's not touching the money that other clubs can kind of access to afford events, go to national conferences, everything like that. It's coming out of a different pot of money that we have for associated students, specifically for the purposes of kind of improving things like this. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's James' turn.
Thought you were gonna get away from me this week. Nah. Good morning, everybody. My name is James Forster. I serve as the AS Programs Manager. I'm just here to provide you all an update on our programs and events for this week. So after this meeting is done, I'll be going out to the library lawn to help set up for Mental Health Mondays. So I'll be bringing your supplies out for that. But then tomorrow we'll have our final farmers market of the semester, 10 to 2, 2:30 out on Lindley Avenue. And then we'll have some free giveaways and some goodies out in the square from 10 to 2. So make sure to stop by between classes. And then the final event that we are formally hosting for the semester, we'll be hosting our annual finals, are a drag event where we have drag bingo. We'll be hosting it here in this room on Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. So come by. We got some awesome prizes. You'll see some great performances from some drag queens. So we're really looking forward to that program as well. So thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Senator Diaz-Gomez,
Point of personal privilege.
granted. Senator Garcia?
With a personal privilege.
Granted. Senator Dominguez?
Permission to be recognized?
Granted.
Hello, good morning, everyone. That just took me a minute because I had to write my full name. Let me quickly. Okay. So, hello, everyone. As the semester comes to an end, I'd just like to remind our fellow senators as well as cabinet that as AS, we represent all students on campus. So it's our responsibility to meet deadlines as well as, and meet deadlines and follow through with our respective responsibilities when it comes to respecting the positions we have. And when I say this, I speak as a fellow student that has also had to go through time restrictions as well as learning curves when it comes to the responsibility and the criteria that we have to meet with our responsibilities. Now, when I mention this, it isn't to call out anyone that is or has a falling behind. It is simply me stating that as we are all here together, learning and adapting, it can be daunting at some points. So if you feel the need at any point that you need the extra help, please ask for it when you can, because as someone that usually always has a hard time asking for assistance when I'm overwhelmed, I personally know that it can affect the quality of my work and my drive to get things done. So when I say this, please reach out to your fellow senators, myself, or even our VP. And as per cabinet, even though we might have different responsibilities, the same is applied for you guys, as we are all students. And if you feel that you are falling behind, please come to the senators or our chief of staff, as well as our president. The goal at the end of the day is representation, and I know that we can all succeed in creating it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for open forum?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Araceli Torres, Chair of Elections here. Just letting you guys know that you will be voting on the elections calendar for spring of 2026. Basically, just here to let you know that it was made off based off the one last year. So if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to ask me after Senate. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for open forum? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to reports, starting with mine. Good morning, everyone. It is great to see you. Happy December. It is my favorite month of the entire year because Christmas time is coming around and I love gift giving. So starting off with actually the week of the 17th, I didn't have too many meetings. However, I did have the opportunity to go to the Go Baby Go project showcase, which was such an incredible opportunity. I felt so much pride and joy to be able to just say that we have an amazing engineering program. And it was so amazing to hear the clubs tell me and Senator Cabrera Figueroa about how much the philanthropy fund was able to help with their projects. And we got to see the families who were able to use the cars, and we got to see their kids use the cars. And it was just so heartwarming, especially during a time of giving, during a time of trying to give back. It was just beautiful. And then it was even more beautiful to find out that CSUN is the very first four-year institution that has ever done this project with the Go Baby Go organization. The Go Baby Go usually collaborates with community colleges, and we are the first four-year institution that decided to collaborate with this project. So it was nice to hear, and I was so proud of all of our engineering students. Friday, we had our CSU student trustee come and visit our campus. Thank you to Senator Basilio, Senator Arias Gomez, Chief of Staff Boberg, Chair of DI Douglas, and Chair of Outreach and Recruitment Gupta for attending this meeting. And thank you to our Executive Director Allen for attending this meeting. It was a great opportunity for us to learn more about what it means to be a student trustee, but also get like some mini updates on how the CSU's budget's looking, as well as what it really means to be a student leader. So that was very empowering. I do want to not discuss, but just thank you all for kind of keeping, not keeping track, but just staying updated alongside Vice President Jimeniano and I regarding last Monday's Senate meeting. I know that a lot of you guys were aware of the Yik Yak post that was going around campus, and I do know that a lot of you guys were afraid and were probably getting messages from various different student groups or student or classmates. So I thank you all for being able to not only put yourselves first, because your safety is our number one priority always, but also keeping in mind what the students might be going through and keeping them updated alongside our vice president and I. It was a hectic 2 days trying to figure out what it looked like for Monday and what it would look like for us, considering we had Senate that Monday. So I thank you all for just staying updated alongside us and making sure that those updates went to your groups, your classmates, and any of your friends. After that, we had our IRA board meeting where where we gave we adjusted a few requests for various different departments, as well as reviewed a few more policies. I'm so sorry, I did not write any of this down, so I'm like going through my memories. So apologies. But other than that, I just had about 4 meetings with our chief of staff regarding what the end of the year looks like, as well as how our cabinet is looking, any preparations for next semester. And that's about it. I hope you all had a restful 2-day break. I wish it was a week, but I hope it was restful nonetheless. Looking on to this week, I will be attending the AI Task Force final fall meeting along with Senator Gavino. I have my two-person meeting with our vice president, myself, and our executive director. I will not be available on Wednesday, December 3rd or December 4th. I will be attending a CSAC media briefing on Wednesday, this Wednesday, and then I will be attending our CSAC December commission meeting on the 4th, so I will not be available either of those days. I will be attending Faculty Senate after my CSAC meeting on Thursday, and I have Academic Technology Committee on Friday. And that is about it for what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the week. I just want to give a reminder to our fellow senators, just a really quick reminder. I know that this is going into the very end of the fall semester. Please, 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 please focus on your finals. I know that you guys are all here committed to our organization and committed to the student body, but you are students first. So if you guys need any extra support, any extra help in regards to your academics, in regards to your finals, or need extra time off in order to complete your finals, please do not hesitate to let myself or our vice president know. Your education is why you are here. You are not here just to be senators. You are here to complete your degree and graduate CSUN with either your master's or your PhD or your bachelor's. So please, please, please prioritize your finals. And that is it for my report. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to our Vice President's report.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you all had a great Thanksgiving break. I also hope that everyone is getting ready for the last midterms and finals. So for my report, I conducted the November Council of Chairs meeting where I gave out an overview of how the semester would look like for the rest of our time here. So today, the end of the semester reports are due. So thanks to the chairs who had already emailed me that. You are going to be able to see this report next Senate meeting, and the chairs are going to go over it. But if you want to contribute to that, it will be added as an information item, so you can always add on to that. Tomorrow, December 2nd, is the last day to submit items for Senate approval. So if you need anything to be included in the Senate meeting agenda, you must send that to Madeline before 5 p.m. December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are going to be the last standing committee meetings. So make sure that within your committees, all of your legislative referrals are either tabled indefinitely or are approved or are rejected. On December 8th, we're going to have our last Senate meeting of the fall semester. And then tentatively, we're going to have December Council of Chairs where we're going to be approving the AS applicants' biography questions. I also met with the marketing manager and coordinator to discuss my initiatives for the spring semesters, including what I'm going to do with the More You Know series and as well as our AS scholarships initiative. I attended the Digital Presence and Governance Committee. We got updates on goals and committees we got updates on the goals of the Committee of the Year. I also collaborated with the Residence Hall Association to organize a mental health day on November 18. I was glad to connect with students at housing, and I am looking forward to projects to bring AS to them. I had a check-in with the Attorney General to touch base on priorities for the end of the semester. Please be attentive to his emails and make sure to respond in a timely manner. I attended the CSU Young Male of Color Conference, where I had the opportunity to connect with staff and student leaders from CSUs, community colleges, and high schools, and some UCs. Some of the highlights of certain workshops were empowerment by being present, bold, and thriving, as well as conflict resolution intersected with culture. On November 20, I conducted a student-led AI workshop through Zoom. We had over 70 attendees. We went over the use of AI for students and resources that CSUN has to offer. So some of the feedback that I got from it was, we have access to a wealth of tools. All of this is very informative. I love it. Work smarter, not harder, but stay in the driver's seat, be the leader in the process. And this was very helpful and informative. As future steps, we plan on offer similar sessions during the spring semester with additional ongoing sessions in the future. So I'll be working with Celine to organize such things. If you're interested in collaborating on such workshops, please let me know and I can get you onboarded with that. President Saravia and I organized our first town hall called Matador Conversations on November 20. And we are planning on having more events like this during the spring semester, but we're also thinking on doing a hybrid modality for some of those students who are not able to be present physically. I also attended the November IRA board meeting. Some reminders are my last mental health Monday of the semester is today from 12 to 2 p.m. and it's going to be in the library lawn. It's going to be themed to craft and calm pre-finals de-stress day. Thank you, James, for helping me with everything and the setup. As you're enrolling in your classes, please make sure that you keep Mondays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. available. If you have any conflicts, please reach out to me and President Saravia immediately. For you to have on your radar, I will be scheduling our final 101s. That's going to be the very last thing you must have at the end of the semester. Once you're done with my 101s, you're good to go for your break. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the Vice President's report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will now move over to our Chief of Staff, Wilberg's report.
Hello, everyone. Hope we're having a good day and everyone had a good Thanksgiving break. I'm going to be doing the reports that I would have given last Senate meeting and then also the ones for this week. So this might be a little long, so bear with me on that. So I'll start with my own. So this week or that previous week, I had all my one-on-ones with all the cabinet members, and I also attended several events. So first off, I attended the vice president's mental health event at the housing, where I passed out shirts and just assisted with that in general. I also attended Senator Gavino's Senate event, which was very good despite the bad weather. It was raining cats and dogs for sure. I also attended Senator Umana and Contreras event, which was very good. And I attended University Affairs and External Affairs. I was also able to attend the student trustee meeting, as the president mentioned, but it was very nice to connect with Carson and learn some valuable leadership skills. I also had several one-on-ones with the president to discuss the completion of goals for cabinet and just with the semester drawing to an end, just trying to make a game plan for that. I also attended the DEI and election committees, and you'll be voting on the elections calendar, which they approved in that meeting. And then I also chaired the cabinet meeting where we shared reports, and then I just highlighted some key responsibilities for their committees, just some refreshers for that. And then this past week, as the president also mentioned, we didn't have Senate that week. We all know that. So it was also a little short week just because of Thanksgiving. I had about 2 meetings with the president, and then I also had another meeting with the chair of outreach and our attorney general just to discuss the release of a Senate report for students, which will just generally go over some of the big events that happened in Senate this semester. I'm excited to see where that goes, and that'll be also sent out by the marketing department. And then I also sent out the cabinet report forms as usual and sent out a couple emails just highlighting prep for our one-on-ones this week, where I'm really going to go in detail through the codes with each of the cabinet members for that. And then I'll move on to our chair of DEI's report. So the previous week, this is starting with what I would have given at the Senate meeting that we didn't have. And that's just going to be for all the reports. I'm going to stop saying that on every single one. So she had a meeting with Natalie to plan for the cultural welcomes, which will be coming in the spring. She also had her DEI committee, where they discussed reaching out to EOP for support with their first generation event, which they're going to have next semester. She also her committee members attended Matador Conversations, where they engaged with students and received several concerns regarding dress and a few other issues, which she's going to follow up on. They're also planning another Matador Conversation specifically with dress, and exploring a partnership also with the Deaf Studies Association to host mental health workshops. She's also actively developing a new diversity, equity, and inclusion guide, which should be finalized by now, I believe. And then they're also updating their tabling supplies and designing DEI committee sweatshirts. She's also continuing to work with the vice president on launching a series that highlights clubs and organizations. And then she's also connecting with Tony, the DEI officer for the police department, or for DPS, to strengthen collaboration in general. And then her next committee meeting got canceled, so the one that was last week, because of Thanksgiving break. And then on to what she would have for her report for this week. So she continued to follow up with student clubs and cultural organizations to strengthen partnerships and gather updates on their needs, upcoming events, and opportunities for collaboration. She also checked in with the marketing team regarding pending promotional materials and ensured that requests from the DEI committee and affiliated programs remain on track. She also began organizing event logistics is continuing to build event logistics by creating an Excel track sheet to manage all the participating organizations in her Cultural Unity Showcase, which will be next semester. She's also doing some golf cart trainings so that this is all that she can give out supplies through a golf cart event that she wants to do. And then, as mentioned in the previous report, there's going to be a lot of repeats because this is just, I'm saying both reports at the same time. So she followed up with EOP to continue discussions about the first generation event that she wants to have next semester. And then checked in with her committee members, although she didn't have a meeting, but just continue to follow up on each of their action items that they're discussing, and is planning her next Matador conversations, which should be in January. And then on to our Chair of Legislative Affairs. So I'm going to start with his previous report. So he had his one-on-one with me, and also attended the Northridge East Neighborhood Council and spoke to people about the logistics of our campus and invited them out to events that we are hosting. The Lobby Corps was also hosted over Zoom, and that was because he was at the Young Men of Color conference with the vice president, which he said went very well and was a great opportunity. And then the vice president also gave a presentation on Robert's rules for those committee members. And then this is also added, but he attended a theater show and highly recommends that all the people in Senate also go to these events. It's just a good way to connect with community and learn some things about the campus. And then on to his next report. So this week was cut very short because of the break. He did speak to all of his Lobby Corps members over the phone, although did not have an actual committee meeting, and also attended external affairs, and is attending some local politicians events in December with his Lobby Corps members. And then this upcoming week, they're going to have their Lobby Corps meeting, as well as some meetings with some other CSUs to talk about chess and civic points. And then they're also beginning to ramp up just preparations for chess in general. And then I'm going to move on to our Chair of Outreach and Recruitment. So with her previous report, she conducted interviews for the DEI committee and the finance committee. She also conducted a meeting with AS Marketing and filmed 3 videos to help promote open positions within AS. She also sent out eligibility requests to Advisory Bar, and has been working on sending out interview requests for senators and has been coordinating with the vice president on that. She also held her first committee meeting, which was a great success, and can't wait to see how the committee will grow together. She also attended Council of Chairs, Internal Affairs, and the Lobby Corps meeting, and gave updates about things that they've all been working on. And then for this week, she created a new document for planning and organizing interviews to streamline coordination with chairs. She also sent out doodle polls for the committees that still need members, and is finalizing the interview list for next week. She also worked with the vice president to plan and coordinate interviews for senators, and additionally met with the marketing team to review the posting schedule and discuss the possibility of starting Senate recap videos. And then she also attended a meeting with myself and the president and the attorney general, as I mentioned. And then for the coming week, she's going to hold, or I guess for this week, she's going to hold her second committee meeting and conduct interviews for the remaining committee members. And then on to our chair of elections. So she sent over the election calendar, which I've mentioned multiple times, but you guys are going to be voting on that today. She also approved the marketing items for the elections. And she also got quotes on the food trucks that she wants to have at her events for next semester, and wrote a proposal to Celsius. So hopefully they'll be at least one of those. And then for this week, she was prepping for her fall event, which is December 3rd. It's going to be in the Pasadena room, and it's going to be 2 informational sessions for elections. So that's going to be the first one from 11 to 12, and then the second one will be 4 to 5 o'clock. And then she also made selections for her elections merchandise, and is continuing to be in contact with Happy Ice Handles and In-N-Out, which are the food vendors that she wants at these events. And then she also sent her slides to get approved by Denise for her informational event, which will be this coming week. And then that is all for all my reports. Sorry about the long-winded.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the Chief of Staff report? Just a really quick reminder, everyone, we have to be out of these room at 11. So please keep your comments brief and your reports brief. And yeah, Senator Basilio.
Yeah, so for the chair of legislative affairs, that those last two things, communicating over the phone and those meetings, either he did not inform me, or I was just, no, he did not inform me of those things. So if you were to come up to me, I would not be able to tell you anything that went on in those meetings. Just saying that. And I'm the Senate rep for that committee. That's why I'm saying that. So I have no updates for you. You would have to go directly to him.
Those were just one-on-ones to see how his lobby corps members were doing. That was it. Yes.
So do I not count in those things then?
I'm not sure. That would be something to ask the chair, but he did inform me that he was having one-on-ones with the lobby corps members to ask how they were doing and to make sure that they were preparing for the end of the semester. So it was just a check-in. It wasn't to discuss anything specifically to do with the rest of the lobby corps. Okay, are there any other conversations or comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to our Chair of Finance, Durant.
Good morning, everyone. Happy 1st of December. It is the last month of the year, which is crazy to think about. Anywho, I will speed run through this as quick as possible. So our balance accounts for supplemental totals as of November 26th, 2025, our STAR is at $180,738. Unassigned contingency is $575,396. Fill fund is at $4,250. The clubs and organization travel account is at $20,290. So some work I did over the past 2 weeks. I've continued to review and process funding requests. I attended the IRA board meeting that was held last Tuesday. I had my finance committee meeting via Zoom last week. So if you guys notice on the agenda for under new business, that request or finance committee recommendation is considered unofficial because I had to hold the finance committee meeting last minute via Zoom under the circumstances that I'm sure everyone knows. I also met with Senator Ramirez to discuss a time to give a finance presentation for students at the Business and Economics Department. She expressed to me how many students come up to her and aren't aware of how the funding processes work. So I'm going to be scheduling a time to meet with them and hopefully clarify any questions that they may have. I had my Finance 101 makeup session, and the last day to make up the Finance 101 presentation is this Wednesday. So just for clarification, if a club does not attend this presentation, they will not be eligible to apply for annual budget for the 2026-2027 academic year. The Finance Committee meeting will be held today at 1 p.m. at the Sustainability Center, and it is the last one. So if you guys want to attend, you guys are more than welcome to. As for upcoming events, the 2026-2027 annual budget request form is open right now, and it will be closing on December 16th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. And just some extra stuff. If you haven't seen the finance introduction video posted on the AS Instagram, go watch it. The Assistant Chair of Finance and I had a blast filming it, and I might sound biased, but I think it's a fun video to watch. So shout out the marketing team for finding the time to film our video. And now moving on to the Assistant Chair of Finance's report. Good morning, everyone. Over the past week, the Finance Committee held an unofficial Zoom meeting and approved one supplemental funding request for AS Productions. Today, we will be having our last Finance Committee meeting of the semester. This Wednesday, I will be presenting the Finance 101 makeup session for the clubs and orgs who missed the previous sessions, as December 3rd is the final date to complete this requirement. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the Chair of Finance report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we move over to our Attorney General's report.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to keep my report very brief. I just want to take a moment to highlight something important about our environment. I've heard from some students who feel that their spaces don't feel welcoming or inclusive as they should. There's a clear desire for more transparency, better training, and stronger efforts to make sure everyone feels seen and respected. I'm not sharing this to call anyone out, but just a reminder that everyone in this room sets the standard. We should all be intentional with our words and actions, and let's hold each other accountable and be professionals. The chair of outreach and recruitment and I are going to be doing weekly Senate reports for our social media to inform students of what's going on during Senate meetings next semester. If anyone has any creative input, please reach out. And lastly, just a few reminders. Please respond to emails in a timely manner. Keep your office hours dedicated to your Senate work. I have no problem with having fun in the office, but we need to maintain productivity. Please turn in your personal project templates. And finally, that was a great speech by Senator Arias Gomez.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the Attorney General report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to our standing committee report, starting with Chair Gavino.
Good morning, everyone. We'll be extending the AI survey to deadline to next Monday so as to get more responses. And so the report will be pushed back to the first meeting of next semester to ensure a better and more quality report. But yeah, that's all I have. End of semester report will be on the agenda next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on Chair Gavino's report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to Chair Basilio's report.
Not much to report. We have some final decisions being made tomorrow, so those will all be sent to Madeline, hopefully by tomorrow. If not, we'll try to send those in for a special meeting agenda, but that is it. Also, the senator stipends referral was tabled indefinitely. You'll see why soon. Cool.
Thank you. Are there any questions on Chair Basilio's report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to Chair Umano's report.
Good morning, everyone. University Affairs Committee did not meet last week because of Thanksgiving, but I did use the time to finalize the committee report. It should be done by today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on Chair Umano's report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to our Executive Director Allen's report.
Okay, the first thing I want to start off with is that, let me think. Okay, so the first thing I actually want to start off with is that next week on your final meeting of the semester, I will not be in attendance. Tim Shapansky will be here in my place. I will be down at Long Beach attending the NASPA Civic Learning and Social Justice Institute. This is a program that happens about every couple of years. I have never seen it here in California. It's, I think, going to be an impactful program, and I think bring back a lot of important content that we'll be able to use within the associated students. The next thing I wanted to say is that when the trustees were here on campus, I had the pleasure of being able to go into the Valero Nest. You'll notice that the gates and stuff are down. Very exciting space for the CSUN community, especially our students. I want to encourage you to share this information with the students that you work with, the students that you have in your classes, because it's going to be an incredibly important resource for the campus. It reminded me of reflecting on when we opened the first pantry. For those of you who do not know, it was located where the Orchard Conference Center is currently located. Diana Harrison at that time had just become the president of the university, and we painted it blue. And so definitely make sure that you go into this incredible space. It's just as dynamic as walking into the Oasis was when that first opened. So we want to make sure that our students are accessing that space. But in addition to all the resources around food insecurities as well as housing insecurities, Maddie's Closet will be moving over there as well. So make sure that you share that information with your constituents. The next thing I wanted to kind of share with you is just talking more about the fact that you are going into finals. I appreciate what I've heard today in terms of you talking about the importance of being students first. And so there are tons of resources for you. And so I want to make sure that you avail yourself of those, whether it's accessing the Learning Resource Center, accessing counseling. But I think that there's a highly underutilized resource that I actually utilized. I utilized all last week. I'll be utilizing it again tonight. And you have access 24 hours a day to a research librarian. Now, when I went to school, you had to use a card catalog and find all the material yourself. Today, you actually have access to individuals that can help you nail your topic, which is one of the areas that I have a problem with. I'm finishing the 3rd chapter of my dissertation. This is the 3rd time I have done 3 chapters for a dissertation, and that's because I have topics and then I research and read forever, and I can't narrow it down. So tonight, the research assistance is going to help me narrow my topic so I can conclude that. So I'm just going to encourage you to access those resources as you come into those final papers that you haven't started, some of you, and you know you haven't done it, and you're thinking, how am I going to do it? And you plan to write it the night before it's due. Draft 1 is going to be your final draft. Don't do that to yourself. Don't add that extra stress. Just use the resources that are here and available to you to help you get those assignments done. The last couple of things I wanted to let you know is that you will be going on break, but you'll be coming back before classes begin. We have a couple important events. One of them is Reboot Camp, and the other thing is a winter retreat, which is a 1.5-day retreat. And I think that this is going to be very important for you to attend. So I just want to make sure that you follow up on those RSVPs that have been sent out to you so that you're accounted for. This is something that I think is going to be incredibly impactful for you for several reasons. One, to help you go into the final stretch of your term for spring of 26. But in addition to that, we'll be spending some time talking about the budget. And one of your most critical responsibilities that you have as members of the board is the development of the budget. And so a lot of students often don't understand that in great detail. And so we want to make sure that you do. And so that's going to be a part of your experience when we go away on that day. So just as a reminder, that is going to be January 15th through January the 16th of 2026, if you can believe that. And then the last thing is that on Monday, the 15th, I'm having AS Cookie Day. I like to bake cookies, and so I'm baking a lot of cookies. So from 8 to 5, you can come into the administration office. Right outside my door, you're going to see tons of cookies and hot chocolate. So make sure that you come by and get some incredible chocolate chip or oatmeal or snickerdoodles or sugar cookies, and there might even be some bundt cakes that will be a part of that day as well. And then the last thing is my last question will be up. My last question is up. It's about Christmas movies. And so you'll have until Friday, December 12th at 12 noon to put in a guess in order to win actually a fabulous prize, because I've been shopping a lot. And so there's some really great prizes that are going to be coming. So make sure that you stop by my office and fill that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the executive director's report? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to our faculty advisor, DeMarco's report.
I didn't realize I was next. Okay, no problem. Good morning, everyone. I'll try to make this brief. So far, this is my second meeting, so I'm really enjoying this. I'm so impressed with you guys. As it's the end of the year and it's a festive time, I see that some of the clubs, I know in the Art and Design department has a club called Student Advertising and Graphics Association. They're having their end of year get together. So make sure that you do enjoy that time. Coming back from this long weekend, I sense that you might all feel a little overwhelmed. So I wanted to remind you to give yourself some space to settle back into your routines, as your president and vice president have stated, and your executive director has also stated. I encourage you to stay in close communication with your professors and your fellow senators to make sure that they know what's going on with you. I'm sure they all very much care about you. They've been working with you diligently over this last semester. So I think it's important, as your president had said, to keep communication open so they know what's going on. You are a student. So one of the things I wanted to remind you of is that we have 2 more weeks until the exam week, and I'm sure you guys are stressing a little on that. So this can be, yeah, it can be a little stressful. My advice to you all is to try to maintain some type of healthy balance between your responsibilities and your well-being. Remind yourself that you don't need to be a perfect and to be perfect or to obtain perfect grades. This is a experience for you all as students. So I just wanted to, let you know, I was a student. I didn't get perfect grades, and I went on for my master's and my PhD. So just so you know, you don't have to have that perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Make sure you're getting consistent sleep. This is the mom in me, the Italian mom in me. Eating real meals and giving yourself small moments of rest during the day. If you start to feel a little overwhelmed, please reach out to your professors. There's campus support, or you can also contact me. You can email me and say, hey, do you have a moment? And I can get on a Zoom call, or if you're near me, I can meet with you. I'm very good at that. So I'd love to get to know all of you a little bit more. And if that means getting a little bit of you sharing your stress or your anxiety, I'm there for you. Okay. You all play an important role in the campus as senators, and you are very busy attending all these meetings, I hear. But remember, students look to you for guidance and stability, especially during this busy time. So stay connected with your peers and continue leading with the patience and empathy that you all have. Your leadership matters. And that's all I wanted to tell you and to remind you of. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on our faculty advisors report?
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Okay, we will now move into unfinished business. Just a reminder to all of our senators, we only have 15 minutes left in this Senate meeting, so we will have to limit each senator to 1 question per senator per agenda item. Senator Garcia.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Senator Garcia.
Permission to be recognized.
You didn't ask for permission for a point of personal privilege, so there's no need to ask. Okay, we will now move over to unfinished business, starting with line item A. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Gavino.
Move to allocate $27,725 to the Sports Clubs program from the capital improvements budget to purchase a tiny mobile robot.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Quiroga. Is there any discussion? Vice President Jimena Aragon.
An information that I just discovered over the week that I wanted to share with you is that once purchased, Dustin would be the only one in charge of managing it and controlling it. So all of that would fall under Dustin. No students would have access to it.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move over to a vote. All those in favor of allocating $27,725 to Sports Club for the tiny mobile robot, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. All those abstained? Okay, this motion passes. We will now move over to line item B. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Basilio.
I move to approve Lillian Gedikian for the Elections Committee member.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Arias Gomez, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving Lillian Gedikian to Elections Committee, please raise your hand. Thank you. This passes unanimously. Congratulations. We will now move over to the approval of a line item C. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Kunanen.
I move to approve line item C to the AS elections calendar.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Dominguez, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the AS elections calendar, please raise your hand. Thank you. This passes unanimously. Now moving on to line item D to approve the AS travel policy. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Basilio.
I move to approve the AS travel policy.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Dominguez, is there any discussion? Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone already did read it, but just to provide a point of clarity, just because it was referenced before in the reports, this travel policy or this AS travel policy is specifically for associated students' travels and not particularly the registered student organizations. That is a completely separate form. This only applies to any transportation or events that AS funds or hosts in reference to a conference, workshop, or related event. Just to provide a little bit of clarity there, this is specifically for employees and for students that attend AS events.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the AS travel policy, please raise your hand. Okay, this passes unanimously. Thank you. Now moving on to line item E, is there a motion on the floor? Senator Cabino.
I move to allocate $48,177 from unassigned contingency to the CSUN Black House and the Black Student Union for the 2026 African Black Coalition Conference.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Contreras, is there any discussion? We'll start with Senator Basilio.
First, I would like to say this conference sounds amazing, and I'm very glad that CSUN's going to host it. The only concern I have is the conference meals, because I do remember Dr. Freddie Sanchez said that 50 CSUN students will be benefiting from this conference. However, other clubs have asked for less money for food specifically, and we have denied them of that. So I think an amendment can be made to cover the meals for our CSUN students, not all 700 that are not CSUN students.
You can make the amendment if you like. However, there is a typo on the document, just so everyone knows. It should, for the meals, it should reflect 40,000, not 48. The 8,000 that is at the total allocation, that 8,000 is for, if I remember correctly, it should be for the outdoor facilities, including the tech. Chair Tourette, would you be able to tell me?
Yeah, so $40,177. Oh, sorry, $40,177 is for conference meals. 8,000 is for logistics. Just for clarification, I made a typo. I said 48,000 for food, but it should really be 40,000.
Okay, thank you. Senator Gavino?
Yeah, I will spend my one allotted time to. I sent an email to Chair Tourette with some questions that I had. I'd just like to summarize and paraphrase that. Chair Tourette, if I'm saying anything wrong, then please cut me off. But yeah, the meals are for all attendees, the conference meals that we'd be providing. The student, guest speakers, volunteers, and everyone else. Non-CSUN students will be paying $75 each to attend the conference. CSUN students will not be charged for attending the event. They're volunteering as well. All funds from the conference registration will cover gear, guest speaker costs, guest facilities, workshops, and other expenses. They will be receiving funding, they being the BSU and the Black House, from three other sources. The USU is granting them $15,000. The Black House and Black Resource Center is funding $5,000. And the CSUN administration is funding them, as of this email, which was sent on November 19th, $13,025. They're waiting to hear back from the president of CSUN to see if there's any additional funding. I don't know if that's been done. And then the president, treasurer, advisor of BSU, and the director of the African Black Coalition are in charge of the budget for the event. The Black House did give them the maximum, which was the $5,000, and this would be a violation of viewpoint neutral rules because it's going over the $9,000 for the fiscal year that we can allot to clubs. But I will echo Senator Basilio's sentiment that this sounds like a great event. I do wish we could fund the whole thing. Um, Unfortunately, the things that we can fund, those, guest speaker costs, the gear, the guest facilities, it seems like the conference registration fees went to that instead of going towards the food, which is the one thing that we cannot fund, or we have not in the past funded as much or to a limited amount. But
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Senator Vicente.
I also agree that this event sounds pretty cool. I don't think any of us are against this conference or the benefits that each student gets from attending it. However, I do see the concern for the $40,000 that goes directly towards food, just because I have spoken to a lot of other student leaders and how their events that are also about like over 600 people in attending have been about $15,000 for the budget. So yeah, that's just the only concern on my part.
Senator Quiroga.
Yeah, to kind of bounce off what Senator Vicente was saying, I've in the past have done events where our budget, we've had over 600 students come and our budget for food was only 10,000. So to me, I just feel like 40,000 is a lot. I do have a question for Chair Trey, if you can answer it. What food exactly are they getting for these conferences and why is it this much?
So the only name that was mentioned, or also Senator Cabrera Figueroa can correct me on this, they brought up that they will be getting Raisin Canes. I believe that is their lunch or dinner, one or the other. And Raisin Canes actually contacted them and mentioned that they would be reducing the price. I believe they would be giving like $1,000 off the purchase. But from what I know, that is one of the meals that would be provided. As for the other, I don't know the specific food that they're getting.
Yeah, really quick, just for a little bit more context. From what I remember, the Raising Cane's was for one particular meal of one day, not for the entire conference, just to provide a bit of clarity there so people aren't thinking we're only giving people expensive food. From what I understand, it is buffet style food that is going to be prepared. As obviously, I apologize, you guys don't see the breakdown fully. The breakfast for 3 days will be covered. It is a lesser amount because obviously they are accounting for the fact of travelers are staying in hotels as well that provide breakfast. So that is a decreased amount. Aside from that, that is the 3 days of breakfast will be a smaller amount provided, buffet style. I believe lunch and dinner will also be provided the same, except for that one day with Raising Cane's.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Vice President Emiliano Aragon.
I would like to know what amendment are y'all thinking on making for this motion?
Gubino.
I personally would be comfortable amending the motion to include the 8,000 for the outdoor event logistics and then the additional 7,000 for conference meals, which would match the USU's total allotment. I know that would probably go over the 50 students that the CSU, the 50 students, CSUN students that will be attending. But if you include, plates and cutlery, which is a line item, yeah.
Senator Dominguez.
I just agree with Senator Gavino that would be like a reasonable amendment to make.
Okay. We are running out of time. We have 2 minutes left. So would anyone like to make the amendment? Oh, Executive Director Alan Vicky.
I just had a couple comments about the request that's before you today. A couple of things. The funding for the food is the one of the higher ticket items for the conference. For 50 students, that is costing us $963.28. We just spent $2,800+ for 6 students to attend the Haku conference, which we've done over the last 2 years. This conference has been going on for 20 years, and as a institution, Cal State Northridge has never hosted this conference. The history of how Black students have been treated at this institution is something that you should know and understand.
as well as understand the importance of an event like this in terms of the leadership development that I think you were able to see demonstrated by the 3 students who spoke with you here today. So I see the concern about the food and talking about it from the student organization perspective, but recognize this is a request that's coming from the Black House with the Black Student Union also signing on. It's not a specific request to the Black Student Union, so it's not something that violates your current code on finance. So those were just a couple of points that I wanted to make.
We will start with Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
I will summarize this as short as possible. Last week, I met with Dr. Mason in regards specifically to this item to discuss some of the concerns that I had heard regarding this. When I spoke with him, we were looking at ideally potentially reworking this budget to not prioritize the food, as that is outside of the typical purview of what we fund. However, he is reviewing the possibility of having the USU cover the food and expenses with their 15,000. He also provided more information as to how we as a campus and specifically we as AS would be promoting at the event and have visibility, a lot of advertisement there on campus. I understand a lot of these concerns, and we are presently working to address them as soon as possible. So as soon as I have any updates from Dr. Mason in regards to reworking those numbers, I'm more than happy to present them to you all. Guarantee that we should at the very least, cover the outdoor expenses and logistics.
Senator Gavino.
Does the senator know if that reworked proposal will be done by next week?
Sorry, can you ask your question again?
Does the senator know if that reworked proposal, including the USU covering the food, would be done by next week, the next Senate meeting next week?
I do not.
A recommendation. We have had this agenda item for now 2 weeks. However, if you guys would like more time to discuss what a proper amendment should look like and would like Chair Tourette and Senator Cabrera Figueroa to bring a new amount to the table, we can always table this line item. Senator Basilio.
Yeah, I move to table line item E.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Diaz-Gomez. Is there any discussion? Vice President Emiliano Aragon.
Quick question to Vicky. Do you know if the money is urgent to them?
The conference is the weekend of Martin Luther King's holiday. It's always been that weekend. So students actually are here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So your last Senate meeting would still be good, but after that time, then it would have a significant impact on the program.
I was just informed we can have 10 more minutes. Okay. So, sorry guys, I'm getting like updates as they come. Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Yeah. Yes. So as our executive director was saying, the conference is in February. When I spoke to Dr. Mason too, this is not a guarantee, but we are hopefully looking at a target range to come to our presentation between 30 and 35, seeing where we can potentially crunch numbers, just to make sure we are covering as much as possible.
Thank you. Just so Senator Basilio knows, we did get a second for your motion. Would you guys like to vote on either killing the motion or tabling? Or is there any further discussion? Senator Gavino.
This is a vote on an amendment to the original motion to table right now. This is a motion to table.
This is the table
Next
to
week.
next week.
And so if this motion fails, do we re-enter discussion on the?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Would everyone like to vote on? Okay. All those in favor of tabling line item E till next week, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. All those abstained? Okay, line item E is tabled until next week. Thank you. We will now move over to new business, line item A. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Romano?
I move to allocate $3,183 from unassigned contingency to AS admin / productions for AS winter holiday party.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Diaz-Gomez, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the allocation of $3,183 to AS admin, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? All those abstained? Okay, this motion passes. Moving on to line item B to approve the AS eschatment policy. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Diaz-Gomez.
I move to approve the AS enchantment policy. Enchantment, sorry.
Eschatment. Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Dominguez, is there any discussion? Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Yeah. Does the president or the executive director happen to know what the time frame before this policy was for closure of inactive accounts?
So the issue was that we did not have a policy at all.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Yeah, and then for section 6 in procedures, step 2, I just wanted to bring this to the attention of other senators in case anyone has any thoughts on it. So in step 2, due diligence, send written notice to property owners 6 to 12 months before eschewment. In my personal experience with other documents similar to this, the 6-month range is incredibly short and does not leave much time for variability, such as change of ownership or change of addresses. In my personal preference, I would like to see that in a 9 to 12 frame. But if anyone does not feel the same, please give comment.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Would you like to, Senator Basilio?
I was just gonna ask, can we even amend that since this is like not something that Senate brought forward, but the executive director?
Executive Director Allen?
Yes, you can amend it, and as long as it stays within the 12 months, so moving it from 6 to 9 is not problematic if that's something that you would want to do.
Senator Cabrera Figueroa?
I move to amend, I apologize, I got to pull up the right for amend line item B to read under Article 6 procedures, step 2 due diligence, as property owners 9 to 12 months before eschewment.
Thank you. Is there a second? Senator Basilio, is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of amending the policy, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. All those abstained? Okay, this amendment passes. Moving on to the original amendment, is there any further discussion on the approval of the policy? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the policy as amended, please raise your hand. Thank you. This passes unanimously. We will now move over to information items, starting with our Humanities Senator Abrams.
Suppose I'll just keep it very brief because of the amount of time we have, but my personal project has been going well. We've had 2 students interested, and I've been connecting them to the correct people within the departments for a possible sit-in. We're looking to the spring for those to actually occur. I will just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move over to our Upper Division Senator, Arias Gomez.
Just to keep it brief, oh my gosh. Hello and good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I have a quick update on what I've been up to as of recently. I finally considered what my personal project is, thankfully to my helpful fellow Senator, Kimberly. This will be a joint project, so please stay in tune in order to hear any updates or details on what is being planned and the value that it can bring to your fellow constituents. As per my responsibilities, I've set a meeting with the AVP of Undergraduate Studies and will be meeting with him on Wednesday in order to discuss how my event went, as well as the details for our next meeting before the semester ends and for my next senator event details. Finally, University Affairs, I'd really like to thank my fellow senators, ex officios, as well as our advisor for all the work, the collaborative thinking, and more importantly, delegation when it comes to all the work that we've been given. So I'd like to acknowledge everyone, and I know this semester was difficult, but even after all the hardships, none of the work has gone unnoticed. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move over to our Science and Math Senator Katka.
I've developed questions for my survey with the help of my deans, and I'm going to send out the survey next semester. And based on my personal project is just gauging the preparedness of graduating seniors in the College of Science and Math. And I'm going to make a presentation based on data and present it to the deans next semester, depending if I continue as a senator next semester.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move over to our Engineering and Computer Science Senator Cachadilla.
Hi, I would like to make it brief and make it quick. For my personal project, I'm developing an initiative that helps CECS students get better connected with AS resources and opportunities. The idea is to create more awareness about how AS can support their academics and extracurricular growth, whether through funding or leadership roles or campus engagement. With the personal project, I took help of several professors on the CECS department, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We will now move past discussion items, past legislative referrals into announcements. Are there any announcements from the board? Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Hey, y'all. So the Metro CSUN survey, CSUN Metro UPass survey is now live. I'll send that out later today by email, so you'll all have a QR and a link so you can share with students and constituents. Also today, PSSA is having a hot cocoa and study session. If you're interested in attending, that's going to be 4 to 5 p.m. in Sierra Hall 392. Also today, CSUN YDSA will also be having a movie presentation today called Soy Cuba, just explaining the experience. They will also be publishing the Metro survey on a different flyer because they will also be including a petition as well, just so that you are aware of the distinction between the two. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements from the board? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll move over to final roll call.
Vice President Emiliano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Abrams.
Here.
Senator Arias Gomez.
Here.
Senator Atias.
Here.
Senator Basilio.
Here.
Senator Cabrera Figueroa.
Here.
Senator Contreras.
Here.
Senator Cunanan.
Here.
Senator Dominguez.
Here.
Senator Garcia.
Here.
Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Kachidia.
Here.
Senator Kodka.
Here.
Senator Mane.
Here.
Senator Quiroga.
Here.
Senator Ramirez.
Here.
Senator Umana.
Here.
Senator Vicente.
Here.
Thank you. I now adjourn this meeting at 11:13 a.m. Have a nice week, everyone.